Here at Suburban Artistry, we love to have a good theme party. We go all out on costumes, food, and decorations. Today's etched bottle is a great table decoration, costume prop, or even a take-home for guests. To start off, we resized and printed the D&D logo to fit our bottle. You could draw your own design. Just make sure the lines are really dark for tracing. You need to transfer the design to contact paper, which is a vinyl shelf liner you can get at the dollar store. Keep the wax paper side down and the vinyl side up. Tape it so it doesn't move and trace the design with a very fine tip permanent marker like this micron pen for the best detail. Next, you need to cut out the design with an X-Acto knife. Be sure to only cut away the parts where you want the acid to get through. Everywhere the vinyl remains, the glass is going to be protected from the acid. You can shade or put an X for any areas you're going to take out so you know where to cut. The vinyl is very stretchy, so it helps to use your finger to hold it still while you cut, especially when parts get really thin. Turn the stencil often to have the best angle for your cut. Remember, if you go too far, you will have to start over or risk acid getting through areas it shouldn't. And don't forget to work on a cutting mat or some sort of board to protect your table. Contact paper is the cheapest option for your stencil when you are making a single item. You won't reuse contact paper. If you need to repeat a design, you can buy a sheet of stencil material from your glass etching aisle of your local art store. I went to Hobby Lobby. The thicker material won't tear easily and it will stick to the glass again once it is clean and dry. Curves are harder to cut cleanly, so here I had to touch up a few areas that looked a little choppy. And now the curves look a lot more smooth. Typically with a stencil, you try to have all parts of the design in a single sheet. This eye had nothing I could attach it to, and adding something would have looked weird, so I cut out a tiny little eye to add in separately. Once the cutout is done, you can remove your wax paper backing. You're going to have to flick at it with your fingernail in order to start getting the wax paper to come away from the vinyl. I had to keep turning mine to remove the backing from the thin parts that were going in different directions so they wouldn't tear. It is important to remember before you do this to wash your hands and clean your glass object first. Any oils that get on the glass could prevent your acid from getting to the glass. You don't want to have to set down your stencil to go wash your hands and get back to a dirty stencil that won't stick. Here I'm making sure that everything is straight and there are no bubbles. I'm using my fingernail to burnish the edges of the design and make sure it's perfectly flat against the glass. I don't want to leave gaps that the acid can get under and ruin my design. Now I needed to add my tiny eye. It was really hard to get the backing off, so I lost it when I dropped it. I decided to use the excess dragon head from my cutout to cut out the eye, and I pulled the backing off ahead of time so I wouldn't have to try and get that off later. This did work, but the trade-off is that I lost a lot of that stickiness. I used the knife edge to put it in place. I did my best to try and burnish it so it would stay put when I put the acid on. It still moved around a little bit, but I figured if I was very careful when I placed my acid, I would still be okay. I used the Armor Etch acid cream applied by scooping it up on a very cheap paintbrush and then dabbing it onto all of the exposed areas of the glass inside the stencil. Dabbing rather than using brush strokes are less likely to go under the edges, and it can help you put it on thick enough so you get a really good etch. Then I let this sit for at least 5 minutes. The little bottle lasts a really long time. I've had mine for years and it's still working. After the sitting time, I peeled off and threw away my stencil and washed the cream off thoroughly so no other areas get etched. I rinsed it and then I washed once more with some dish soap. It's a really good idea to use a glove for this to avoid irritating your skin. You can get chemical burns from this. The design will show up best once it's fully dry. It might be kind of hard to see while the etching is wet. And this is the final result. The design will stand out a lot more depending on the light, the color of the things around the glass, and what you put inside of it. And this is really inexpensive. I found excellent glass contact paper, paintbrushes, and X-Acto knives at Dollar Tree, and that's just $1.25 per item. I found the Armor Etch for $8.99 at Hobby Lobby or $11.45 on Amazon at the time of this video. But like I said, my bottle is really old. Reusable stencils are $9.25 on Amazon, but I've seen them for a lot cheaper other places, such as the art stores. You can also buy pre-cut stencils so you don't have to cut out your own design, and those are typically pretty cheap too. I also found some excellent potion bottles from Ross. This was a set of 3 bottles for $5. And now we are ready for our party. If you enjoy learning about a variety of art styles while playing with pop culture and art historical techniques and trying to make art inexpensive and accessible to everybody, check out our other videos. Thanks for watching!